So we've got a question from RazorClaw999 who says,
Sure.
do you think if Blizzard did something like a double XP weekend for players who want to level alts, would that make the player base happy? It would.
Yes.
It's really weird. It would, and you could sort of see how it could. If you do it too much, right, then people would be like, well, obviously it would be a stupid idea to level outside the double XP weekend. But we do know from times like the lull of Mists of Pandaria that a double XP weekend sure can make people be excited for the game.
Yeah.
So with that, I would say, double XP weekend, something to do on special occasions or to solve a problem, but I think it can never be done to the point where players have a general expectation that it will happen, because once that happens, what you essentially have done is you've said there are exceptions to the rules of this world. And if people are trained to think that, it's going to change how they interact with and perceive the world.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more, and I mean, some of this is because I think some of the events that I've done in FF14 over the years have been really, really cool. But I think there's a lot more they can do with those events to try to bring people in really, really tight together and do stuff. I mean, some of that does succeed with like the Brewfest stuff.
There's one that, for reasons that that they don't know, that I also know, but we can't tell them yet, that we will have to solve in a vaguely soon timeline.
Yeah. That's why that's why we're trying to push forward on a lot of new content, a lot of new styles and stuff, because we want to get to those goals a lot quicker than we would otherwise.
Yeah.
That's why we're going all out, let's say.
We've got a question from James Levy, who says, oh boy, I agree with you, James. Well, I think it's an important thing to talk about. Do you think the focus on speedrunning via Mythic and now Torghast is hurting the game because it promotes clearing content as fast as you can? I think there is something to be said about a game that feels slower and more exploratory. I think that's really, really core to how a player actually perceives everything in a game and their general mindset. If it's not gotta go fast, then there's going to be less toxicity whenever somebody is slow. But that's the problem. And if you're interested in this topic, the Theorycraft episode from Chris and the team on Toxic Gamers is a really good one, because it's very focused on, not a bunch of developers, screeching and being sad about the terrible toxic capital G gamers. It's them talking about, well, how do our game designs and our game systems create environments where toxic behavior is basically an emergent property of what's going on. And I think that a lot of the timery stuff, there's a part of that. Yeah. Now, it's that thing where it's a balance knob.
Yeah.
Like a really good way to do difficulty that just works and that basically self-balances in a way, right? It's time. It's time, because, it's like, oh, what happens if the player is super, super powerful and broken and executes a perfect strategy? Does it fall outside of the bounds where your game system breaks? No, they just got a faster time. There you go, it works. It works, but it changes how the game feels. And that changes how the player is trained to analyze and think about the game. And then that has got very big implications, especially when it's a role-playing game. And when we think about a time trial, I mean, we're thinking about a commute to work. We're thinking about making an appointment in her car. And, those are times where you're going to be a bit more of a toxic individual. Right? I mean, man, I think we've been in a car together, and we certainly have got choice words for some of our fellow road users at times.
That's for sure.
Not that that's super relevant to this, but it's just that thing of, a timer just changes things. It's like if you're just driving to a destination because you want to go there versus you're driving to a destination because you got to get there on time. Now, don't try driving somewhere because I don't know where I am. Are we in the wide or the switcher?
What?
Camera.
Oh, wide, yeah.
Yeah, so don't try to drive to your destination to get a 3 chest run. That's called speeding, and that's not the thing to do.
That is generally frowned upon by the law.
Yeah, but like time constraints and shit, it just changes everything up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually, James, I big agree. That's why I'm really excited for Tazavesh, actually. Yeah. And, I would think that... do you know what it is? Is it that? No, I think it is. It's like, I would enjoy Mythic Dungeons more if it was just a difficulty level, a difficulty lever that would take you right up to the mechanics are as hard as a heroic dungeon boss, but where there is 0 timing component and it's just a get to the end of the dungeon and an optional difficulty thing. I personally would vastly prefer that. It wouldn't work for the MDI.
No, absolutely
I mean,
not.
how about you make it but the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, cat's in the bag. That's
I fucking mourn that the cat is out of the bag because I think it's fundamentally changed what a dungeon is forever in a way.
Yeah, I was trying to think.
It
about
means
that.
that so the type of dungeon that I want is now called a mega dungeon, and now it's a rare feature that we will sometimes get.
And you only get it outside of Mythic Plus for a season.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a Mythic Plus dungeon, and then you learn the behavior. Because I think that, like,
You suck all the life and essence out of it by treating it that way.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where if you rush anything, you're going to miss out on what's happening there. It is the entire case where the Pandaren were right. Slow down. Like, the behavior that you learn, it's all, again, it comes back to, like, learning behavior through the gameplay design. If you spend an expansion going into a dungeon and going, oh, well, I'll skip this pack, I'll skip this pack, I'll skip this pack, I'll skip this pack to be efficient, then you're going to go into a new dungeon and go, well, you're going to do that behavior again. You're not going to clear everything. You're not going to stop and look and like, oh, what's that? Like, doodad in the corner. What's this statue of? Oh, the atmosphere is really nice.
Yeah.
You're going to be going, well, my goal is at the end, I'm going to run like fuck. That's going to be how you play it. It's like if Dark Souls opened with a timer, it would be a very different game.
Very different game.
Even if it just had a little timer in the corner counting up your time, you'd be like, well, clearly this is something to do with how I should play this.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just start sprinting everywhere. And then the idea of stopping to look around the corner for an item's gone.
That's a big change.